GearNetwork.com.
Hey everyone, John Cimino here for the Gear Radio Network, and you have asked and asked repeatedly, what is up with the app? We know you have one, and you never push it, you never do anything with it. Well, guess what? We got a better one, and it is free, it is absolutely available for you, and there's so much more you can do with it. Visit GearNetwork.com and click Get the App. It's up on the top banner, or if you're feeling really brave, head to gearnetwork.mobapp.at on your mobile phone and your mobile phone's browser, and you can take Gear Network with you wherever you go. Listen to every show on the Gear Network right from the app. You can view all of our social networks in real time. You can read Gear Network and BLTDsports.com blogs in real time, and you can also shop Amazon and help us out and help you out. It is free. Did I mention that? Again, gearnetwork.com or gearnetwork.mobapp.at. Download it right now. This is a Gear Network production.
Broadcasting worldwide on GearNetwork.com, sharing wrestling news and opinions. It's Talking Wrestling, and your host, JC.
And hello again, everybody. Welcome to Talking Wrestling. This is episode 33 here on the Gear Radio Network. How's it going, everybody? This is John Cimino, a.k.a. JC Money, and I am here on the 33rd edition of Talking Wrestling. What is up? First, let me just pay some bills right quick, as they would say on the streets. This podcast is sponsored by our store through Amazon. If you visit GearNetwork.com, that's GearNetwork.com/Amazon, click on our banner, and then you bookmark that, so that way you'll always remember, you'll always have it, and you won't need to go through our website. But do that, do all your Amazon shopping through there, have everything delivered right to your front door, and right now I can get you hooked up with a free Prime membership for 30 days. That's right, 30 days, 30 big ones, cost you zip, zilch, zero, nada, and you will have access to hundreds of thousands of songs on Amazon Music, which include the Beatles library, and as well, Amazon Video, and free 2-day shipping on most all of the items. So definitely do that. It helps us out. Even if you don't, yes, I'm excited here talking about it because this is an awesome thing here. Even if you do not stay after the 30 days and you cancel, Amazon still throws me a little something to help out. That's awesome. You'd be helping me out and you'd be helping yourself out. Again, that's Gear Network, GearNetwork.com/Amazon, or just download the app and shop right from there. It's that easy, that simple. So what is going on? What'd y'all think of WrestleMania? Now, I know it's been a couple of weeks now since it's happened and the dust is settled, and personally, I thought it was a great show. I was very happy with it. I was actually at my last week of bowling with Mr. Perez on my team and Dawn, the Gear Girl, from Get Ready America, my co-host and the executive producer of this podcast, and my wife. But we were bowling. Our bowling league, because of Easter, was canceled on Easter Sunday, obviously. So we had to make up the last week the following Sunday, which was WrestleMania Sunday. And I wasn't, at least, too happy about it, but I did belt out a 600 to end the season on a high note, so yay me. But it was bad because at the bowling alley, the internet connection there is garbage, and we tried to get the stream as best as we could, and it was so super choppy. It was like watching it on dial-up. It was really bad, but we were at least able to see Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin and Mick Foley come out there and do their thing. When Shawn Michaels was in his gear, I had to do double take. I was like, wait, what? Michaels in his gear? And then Austin came out, and I was like, I was a kid again. It was great. It was just a wonderful event to watch, and they announced the attendance at 101,763 people. Whether or not that's the case, because there is reports, Dave Meltzer, I believe is how you say his last name or whatever, reported that it was actually about 93 or 94,000 people, but whatever. The fact that Jerryland was packed and you know, rocking for WrestleMania was great. It's come a very, very, very long way. That brand has come a very, very, very long way. I mean, I remember it on Sundays at like 2, Sundays at 4 was WrestleMania on pay-per-view, and I believe my first actual memory of WrestleMania watching it live as it was happening was WrestleMania 4 with the tournament. I had seen WrestleManias 1, 2, and 3 prior, but it came out on home video or whatever. My cousin had it, and not my cousin Tiger, but my cousin Ben had it, and we would watch it, and it was pretty cool, and I got to, get introduced to wrestling that way. But my first WrestleMania watching it live was at Trump Towers, or Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, New Jersey, WrestleMania 4, where Macho Man won the championship. And, for me, the big takeaway of that was Bret Hart smashing that trophy in the beginning, the Battle Royal. But, so to go from that, which is an indoor arena that maybe sat 20,000 people, to go into Dallas, Texas, or Arlington at AT&T Stadium and seating close to 100,000 people, whether it was 93,000, 94,000, or 101,000, I mean, that's pretty good. And the show itself, from top to bottom, I did my predictions, and unfortunately I don't have them here. I don't remember them off the top of my head. I might remember as I go through the results, but the fact that I was wrong on a good majority of the card makes me happy. I absolutely love being wrong when it comes to wrestling predictions, because it surprises me. I go in there expecting, I see, let's just say, for example, the Intercontinental Ladder match, and I picked Dolph Ziggler to win, because my thought process was that Dolph Ziggler, because he'd been having these run-ins with the Authority lately, and him and Stephanie have had some banter back and forth, and he's getting, of course, he's always getting the Dolph pop, and everybody's loving it. That was my natural thought process, was that Dolph Ziggler was going to win and have his WrestleMania moment. I did say it would be cool if it were Zack Ryder, but I just didn't see it happening. So needless to say, when Zack Ryder won and had his WrestleMania moment, I was like, wow. Damn, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty happy that I was wrong there. And I was wrong with quite a few of them. So without further ado, let's just go ahead, cue up the awesome WrestleMania music, and we will begin with the results of WrestleMania 32. So we had, for the United States Championship, Kalisto defeated Ryback. I actually picked Ryback to go over and win. Didn't happen. Kalisto's still your United States Champion. Team Total Divas over Team Bad. I did pick that one. The Usos defeated the Dudleys. I picked the Dudleys. Zack Ryder defeated Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, The Miz, and Sin Cara to win the Intercontinental Championship in the ladder match. I, of course, as I just said, I picked Dolph Ziggler. Here was one that I was really surprised by. Chris Jericho defeated AJ Styles. I picked AJ. I thought that Jericho was going to lose to AJ Styles in the rubber match or whatever at WrestleMania, the big stage. I thought that was going to happen, and not only was I surprised and shocked, but again, it was that pleasantly surprised thing. I really enjoy the story that they built there and what they were doing. I was also wrong with this one here, the League of Nations. First of all, I thought it was a tag team title match, but it turned out to be a 6-man tag team match. The League of Nations defeated The New Day, and that's where, of course, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, and Mick Foley came out after it all was done. And then, Austin did the stunners. He stunned Xavier Woods when they were dancing and whatever. But Brock Lesnar defeated Dean Ambrose. I was wrong with that one. I picked Ambrose. I thought Ambrose was going to get the shine, the proverbial rub, if you will. I thought they were building him up to beat the monster because he was so crazy. But Brock Lesnar, in Brock Lesnar-like fashion, defeats Dean Ambrose. Charlotte with Ric Flair defeats Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, and this one here was for the WWE Women's Championship. The rumors were true. They were doing away with the Divas title, the little butterfly title, and they have replaced it with the WWE Women's Championship, which should have never gone away in the first place. And it looks like the men's title, except much smaller. Actually looks really nice, so I like that. I picked Charlotte to win because of that reason, and I was right there. The Undertaker defeated Shane McMahon. I called that one too. Baron Corbin wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, last eliminating Kane. I think I had the Big Show winning that one, but Shaquille O'Neal came out, and of course they had been teasing Shaq versus Big Show for years. I mean, back a couple of years ago when he was guest hosting on Raw, Shaquille O'Neal was. It was the big showdown and that, so, now that Shaq's retired, he's not playing basketball anymore. Very good possibility, WrestleMania 33, Shaquille O'Neal versus The Big Show, and And I would be interested to see that. The big Shaq Diesel. The Rock came out and defeated Eric Rowan in, I think, 6 or 7 seconds to attempt to set a WrestleMania record, but I think that record is still held by Kane over Chavo Guerrero for the ECW belt. But Rock came out, did his usual Rock shtick. The Wyatt family, minus... what's going on here? Oh, I guess it just started over again. Let's just... I don't know what's been playing. I had YouTube playing there, so it's probably going to sound weird. Going back to what I was saying, though, The Rock came out, did his Rock thing. The Wyatt family, minus Luke Harper because of his injury and his surgery, came out there, and it turned out that The Rock had his gear on, and he was ready to wrestle, and Eric Rowan was the one who stepped up to the plate and was, quote-unquote, challenging The Rock. And, you know, that was a cool little segment. John Cena returned for that, by the way, and helped The Rock win, even the odds against the rest of the Wyatts. But it was a little bittersweet because I know, deep inside, at least I want to believe, that had Luke Harper been healthy and not gotten injured, that was his spot. And regardless of the length of time, whether it was, 6 seconds or whatever, Luke Harper would have been able to say, I wrestled The Rock at WrestleMania. Now Eric Rowan has that distinction, but, so it's kind of a little bittersweet, but in the same, WWE's going to, I'm sure they're going to take care of Harper. So, maybe he'll have his WrestleMania moment next year, that would be really nice. And then the main event, Roman Reigns defeated Triple H to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, Stevie Wonder saw that one coming. It was the payoff of the year-long feud. It did not get quite the reaction that I think that they were going for, that they were hoping for. But nonetheless, it's there, and we move on to wrestling news for the week, or for the past 2 weeks, really. According to Dave Meltzer of F4WOnline.com, The Undertaker was reportedly telling people backstage at WrestleMania 32 that was his last match against Shane McMahon. That was going to be his last match. He was done after that. It's been said now that he's said that for a while now. WrestleMania, I believe, after WrestleMania 30, when he lost the streak to Brock Lesnar, I think that was supposedly his last one, and then they weren't sure if 31 was going to happen, and then 31 ended up happening. Then he ended up having a little bit of a heavier schedule this year, 4 or 5 times, a few house shows and a tour or whatever. So I'll believe it when it happens. I don't think that The Undertaker, that the WWE would have been like, okay, he's retiring quietly, because for Christ's sakes, it's The Undertaker. That's the man, that's the conscience of the WWE. So I can't imagine that if Undertaker was just like, yeah, I'm done, that there wouldn't have been a production made about it. So I don't believe that for 1 second. So moving over to TNA news. TNA is reportedly moving their offices from Nashville, Tennessee. There are conflicting reports about that, though. Some are saying that they're being evicted from their offices, and others are saying that the lease is just not going to be renewed. Either way, within TNA, the move was reportedly expected and discussed and planned for the past several months. And additionally, Dixie Carter was telling everybody, all of her people inside there, that, quote, big things are on the horizon. How many times has she said that, by the way? She has said big things are happening, and this is going to change the game, and blah, blah, blah. And TNA is in dire financial strengths right now, from what I'm understanding from the reports that I'm getting. So much so, in fact, that I think the big things that she may be mentioning are referring to new business partners. TNA is up for sale, and Jim Ross actually had an editorial a few days ago that actually said, if TNA is indeed for sale, the people who purchased TNA should rebrand it, name it something else, and start fresh. I don't disagree with them. I would think keep the TNA legacy, transition the belts, kind of like WWE has attempted to do with some of the WCW belts to WWE, NWA to WWE, etc. So maybe they would do something like that. I'm not sure. What I am sure is that 2 of TNA's longtime folks, Eric Young and Bobby Roode, are no longer with TNA. In fact, Bobby Roode was seen with NXT over WrestleMania weekend, but no words on whether or not actual terms have been met. I know they've been talking. There's been lots of reports that Bobby Roode and Triple H are talking, and it's really at the finances portion of it. So we'll see what happens. But I think Bobby Roode to either NXT or WWE would be a really good move, because that dude is money. If you watched Raw and SmackDown, you saw that there were a couple of call-ups. Apollo Crews and Enzo and Cass from NXT were called up, made their debuts, and were impressive. More Enzo and Cass, I think, were more over with the crowd, I think, than Apollo Crews was. But nevertheless, Apollo Crews, after watching him work, I mean, the guy's solid. So hopefully, something gets done with him appropriately. Like maybe him against Ryback or something. I'm gonna guess that's probably gonna be the first feud. That's just my guess. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong. I hope they surprise me. They've been good about doing that. One thing that did surprise people, and people knew that this was happening, except for somebody on Thomas Brewington's board a few months ago, when WWE teased the Bullet Club, specifically AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson coming to the WWE. I was told by some Mark who really likes James Mitchell, or the Sinister Minister for you long-timers that don't know, by some Mark that looks like him, that this was just a publicity stunt by WWE trying to get people to, view their website. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm pretty sure they signed that WWE doesn't need publicity from, New Japan guys that, are seldom known here in the States. I'm very confident that they signed. Guy turned around and called me an idiot, and I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to save this piece, this thing. I'm going to save it, and then when they debut, I'm going to, with each debut, comment on there. And I did. And let me tell you something. It's been a glorious 3 months with that. I hope you're listening. I don't even remember your name. I think he blocked me, but whatever. It was funny. He called me an idiot, and all four of them made their debut. AJ at the Rumble, Nakamura at NXT TakeOver, which, by the way, his match with Sami Zayn, match of the freaking year so far. Nobody has topped that yet. I'm sure there'll be some in contention, but that is an early match of the year candidate. Nakamura and Sami Zayn. If you have not seen it, I highly encourage WWE Network or even Hulu if it's showing on there. Check it out, because it was phenomenal. But Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, he's back to being Luke Gallows now, made their debut last Monday night on Raw, attacking the Usos and making a statement. I thought they looked very, very strong. They looked brutal, and they looked good. They looked devastating. So I'm hoping to see big things out of them. I mean, personally, for me, what I'd like to see happen is them get involved somehow with the AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns match at the next pay-per-view, which I believe is called Payback. I'm not 100% sure. I suppose I should have done that research, but anyways, AJ Styles is the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Roman Reigns, and it's going to happen. Yes, it is Payback is the next pay-per-view event. What's to say the Bullet Club doesn't get involved there? Help AJ win. Stranger things have happened, and I think it would be a very, very welcome change, and it would be pretty awesome. So that's that. That is your wrestling news for the week, and we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Before we do that, and I hope this is not an every 2 week tradition, because it's a sad one, but like last week as we headed to a commercial, I reported sad news on the passing of independent wrestler Chris Travis. Unfortunately, I have to pass along another piece of news that I'm sure has been heard by now by everybody that is a wrestling fan. ECW original John Reckner, better known as Balls Mahoney, passed away at age 44. Balls was trained at the Monster Factory and made his debut in 1987 for the World Wrestling Council at age 15. In Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he had a very long rivalry with Chris Candido, one of his best friends in real life, as Boo Radley. He debuted in WWE in 1992 using his real name and losing to the likes of Papa Shango, Marty Jannetty, and Super Beast's favorite, Virgil. At 1995, at In Your House 5 Seasons Beatings, he appeared as Santa Claus, the evil twin of Santa Claus from the South Pole, managed by Ted DiBiase, attacking Savio Vega as they were handing out presents to kids. He is best known for his time in ECW, teaming with Axel Rotten, the late Axel Rotten, who we lost in February, I want to say, February or March, Masato Tanaka, and Spike Dudley. He was a 3-time ECW Tag Team Champion, once with Tanaka and twice with Spike Dudley. He was also a part of the WWE-branded ECW and wrestled in the Indies until his last match, which was December 6th of this past year, December 6, 2015, defeating Shawnimo, I apologize if I butchered that name, ShaunYmo, in a Flaming Tables match at the DFC A Very Death-Proof Christmas event. Reportedly, just days before his death, he injured his hip in a fall and was using a walker. No word on the cause of death. The autopsy is due soon. He is survived by his son, Christopher Balls Mahoney, dead at the age of 44. We'll be right back. You know, I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC, where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I want to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and I mean everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to IndieCard Media Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCard Media. Do it now. Bring your designs to life. Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
Living the dream. I'm actually just getting ready to do this commercial.
Oh, you mean the commercial where I tell our listeners to tune into Gear Network every week to listen to our show, Get Ready America, that one?
Yeah, John, that's the one.
They can also listen to us talk about news, sports, whatever's on our minds, that...
And a little what's on our listeners' minds, but they're just too nice to say it.
Well, that, Dawn, is a real humdinger.
Humdinger.
Come join us this and every week for Get Ready America exclusively on the Gear Radio Network.
And the Gear Network app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I am Ryan Wolf.
it's Mr. Perez.
And I have a question for you, Perez.
What's your question?
Do you like to listen to people talk about sports?
No. Of course I like sports and listening to people talk about sports.
Well, guess what? I have the perfect solution for
You
you.
have a solution for me?
There's a podcast
Okay.
on this very network.
This network?
Every single week you can hear it.
Really?
New content, latest and breaking news. We talk about baseball, football, hockey, basketball, soccer, UFC, whatever you want to talk about.
So sports in general.
They talk about sports in general. You got
Okay.
it.
I like
you
it.
know the dictionary.
I like
very,
it.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
I must say, tune in. We are better live than dead.
You're not.
Every single week. You're not going to want to miss it. Exclusively here on the Gear Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again. This is episode 33 of the Talking Wrestling Podcast. And I apologize going off to the commercial on the somber note there with Balls Mahoney. I'm a little bummed by that one myself. I'm not really a huge fan of the whole Extreme Rules kind of wrestling, but for some reason or another, Balls was one of the people that I enjoyed watching. So safe home, Balls Mahoney. And I got so wrapped up in wrestling news and everything that I forgot to mention, I do have a guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the soon-to-be legend, the man that is training me one more time to get in there for my big battle with Tripp on July 9th in Buffalo, my man, Marc Hauss. Marc, how's it going, buddy?
How you doing, big guy? I'm glad you gave me a call. You kind of, I'm glad I got to be on this week in between, training and training. So I
Training and training, yeah. Well, we've since I've restarted the Talking Wrestling brand opposite the Football Talk podcast. When Football Talk season's done, then Talking Wrestling comes out. But you were a staple on the original, so why not? Why not check up with you, see what's going on here, and give you some help for them damn Hindu squats you put me through last Sunday.
Well, you gotta kickstart. You gotta kickstart back into it and take it nice and slow. Except I don't want to take it slow with you, because you gotta get yourself back ready to go for Trip. And I want you to prove something to him and prove something to professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, I'm more than motivated. Like, I was motivated before, but then when I gave you the call and I was like, "Hey, can you, would you retrain me?" And you were like, "Yep, let's go, let's do it." Just the way that you broke it down, like, I don't want to give away like all of your secrets and your whole curriculum, but I'm totally like putting over you as a trainer and putting over you and your school. Because I've seen what's come out of there, and it's good stuff. And now, having experienced your, some of your curriculum firsthand, I'm like I said, I'm putting it over as the real deal, man. So, to anybody that's aspiring to be a pro wrestler right now that may be listening, or to old timers like me that are thinking, I know I might need to get some, dust off some of the ring rust. What is involved with your curriculum that makes it honestly so great?
To be completely honest with you, like, for me, I love the fact of learning from so many people. I've done a couple countries, over 100 training camps. I've gone to schools and worked with their trainers and picked people's brains. And everybody I go across, I pick brains and I try to get as much information I can, so it's a bunch of different styles instead of one training method where you go to a lot of schools and it's the same thing all the time. And I like switching it up and doing a bunch of different things, and with all the knowledge and the people and the resources I have, I'm constantly trying to learn and get better. And I think a lot of it is at a lot of schools nowadays, it's really not a lot of schools that consider themselves reputable. There are the reputable schools where I can go and name off a ton of them that I would go there now just to learn more. But then you got some of the smaller schools, even locally, that try to, train and give you a better. And a lot of it is, we'll teach you how to bump, and then you can learn how to do moves. Wrestling is about moves. It's about the psychology. It's about the footwork. It's about the basics. It's about, think about it. You go to WWE, you can ask Colin Delaney this. He told me a story that he went in there before he got hired, went in for one of the tryouts before the shows for an extra. And Jamie Noble was there and watched some guy lock up, and he didn't lock up correctly, and sent the guy home. And there's your spot. It's gone because you don't have the correct footwork or basics. And people don't stress that as much anymore. It's kind of a thing of the past where it's, I want to see moves and I want to be oohed and awed. But at the end of the day, how effectively can you do that if you don't have the proper footwork or basics?
Is there any particular camp or style or something that stuck with you more than any of the others? Like, out of all of the seminars and training camps, is there one thing that stuck with you and continues to stick with you as like the main thing you learned?
The camps for me, I can't really give you one camp that is the best. I've enjoyed, like, for instance, they're all for different reasons. I went to a Steve Carino and an Al Snow camp, and both of them, they sat and talked about psychology and branding yourself and building a business based around pro wrestling. And it's valuable information that people just don't think about. And then, like, the biggest well-rounded camp that I love is I've been to one of the Ring of Honor camps, or I've been to two of them. And they've helped me get on some of the Ring of Honor shows, and they've helped me make connections. But the thing that I like about it is that it's so funny to me because I get a lot of flack from a lot of guys going, "Oh, you're spending money to go to these camps, such a work." And it was funny because they address that at the Ring of Honor camp every time you go. Delirious pulls out a box full of resumes, DVDs, anything you can imagine to try to get a job, and he dumps it out in the middle of the ring, and he goes, "I don't have time for this." He goes, "People send me stuff all the time, and frankly, I don't have time for this." And it's hundreds of people looking for a job, applying, and it just goes into a box because he doesn't have the time. He's got to run a TV company. You know what I mean? So he sits there and talks, and he goes, "If this was truly a work, and you were getting nothing out of it to learn, and not an opportunity and eyes to be looked on, we would charge you X amount of dollars to come in for this camp. Let's say you're so good, JC, that we want to hire you on the spot. but crap, we can't because it's a work. Sorry, you have to go home. You know what I mean? These places?
Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean there. And, it kind of saddens me in a way. Like now, I mean, I'm at a different point in my life where I can't take advantage of those things like, maybe I would have 10, 15 years ago had the resources been available. I think what the students nowadays do not understand, especially the local people here, is that the amount of resources, to your point, is just, I mean, it's phenomenal in comparison to 16 years ago when I broke in and nobody really wanted to tell anybody where you get your boots from, where to get your tights from, where to, you know,
what kills me too about wrestling nowadays is like the new kids don't want to put in any of the work. There's a handful of kids that I will praise, but like, for instance, on an average month, I've been doing this, 13 years now? Still work a 9-to-5 job.
Roughly, yes.
Week, or an average month, I'm doing 8 to 10 shows. This month alone, I'm doing the ROH camp this weekend. In between it, I'm going to a show, and then going back to the camp. And next weekend, I have a camp that runs all weekend for Rip Rogers at Battle Arts, and then after each day, I'm going to a show. So I'm training all day to go to a show, to spend the night, to go all day to a camp, to go all night to a show, to drive home, to go to work in the morning. On an average weekend, I'm driving close to 1,000 miles and getting home just to go to work and then going to camps. I mean, still after all this time, I'm doing 2 full weekend camps, and I'm doing any seminars I can get my hands on and learn. And it's hard to watch sometimes how these kids, I'll do anything. Well, then get in the car with me and let's go. That's kind of a long weekend. That's a long way to drive. I don't think I'm going to learn that much from. Am I going to get a spot? Where's my money? Like,
you see, here's
here, not getting in the car and going.
Right, and to that, I sit here and I look at it, and I think to myself, had someone told me at that stage that your students are in, had my trainer told me, get in the car with me, or had my trainer been local, I should say, because my trainer was H.C. Lokes, and he doesn't live in Rochester, but, had my trainer been local like you, and you said, get in the car with me, and I'll take you on the road, I would have gotten in the car and gone. Unfortunately, I didn't have, it wasn't like that, 10, 15 years ago. And so, again, the point I want to make is that to the students, the kids nowadays, I mean, if you really, really want it, it's there for the taking for you, at least from my observation. Like,
yeah,
I'm flabbergasted.
And it is. I mean, a lot of our students, which is good, because a lot of our students are getting on that and hopping in cars. So it's not necessarily our students. Our students, for the most part, 90% of them are very good about asking and being proactive. But just in general, the general scene you see, it's just someone goes, I can go to a new area and, eat a little bit of gas, but get an opportunity with a whole new crew of people and travel and make camaraderie and pick people's brains, or I can go 15 minutes on the road where I'm guaranteed a booking against people that don't know what they're doing just like me. I'm going to take the guaranteed booking against someone as clueless as me so I can just get the glory of being cheered in front of 35 people. Like, that's stupid to me when I can go, to New York City and get an opportunity to watch a quality show in front of 200 or 300 and the next day do a quote-unquote TV taping where you have guys from all over the Northeast going there and getting to work somebody who's better than you in a different area that can see you and go back to their area to tell people who you are. It boggles my mind.
Last question here. In your opinion, do you think that putting in the sacrifice of, like you said, getting in the car, eating up gas, maybe not having a very high payday, if at all, just to get that one opportunity to pick brains and learn a new area and learn a new fan base, and doing that for so long, do you feel that ultimately by doing that you will become that guy that gets paid going into different areas and becoming that proverbial super indie wrestler?
I'm going to turn the question right back around on you. I am not a super name at the moment. I've gone through injuries. I have gone through a span where I didn't take it as seriously and where I was, for lack of a better term, very depressed and very down in the dumps, where I was unmotivated. But now that I am back on that horse, even over the past year, I'm going to ask you that question. You've seen me grow. What do you think? Because I'm in that position right now where I am hustling and grinding and doing everything I can to make every single opportunity and sacrifice as an outsider looking in at me. Take that question and answer that question yourself. What do you think?
I mean, you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
Honestly, I see you as a super indie person. I mean, there's not, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's not many people that can say, at least in this area, and I'm just going on this area alone here, but there's not very many people that can say that they've wrestled in Europe, can they?
I don't know.
Not very many
Probably
people
not.
that say that they've gone to Mexico with Conan for a training camp, can they?
No.
Not very many people that can say that they've worked Ring of Honor, whether it was a dark match or not, and be on a first name basis with the higher ups there, right?
Yeah, correct.
You're working X amount. How many shows a month, roughly?
About 8 to 10.
8 to 10 shows a month, as opposed to somebody working one show every 6 weeks, if that. I mean, so to answer my own question that you threw back at me, yes, I do think that doing what you did, and I'm talking specifically in the later years, in the more recent years, the past 5-6 years.
Oh, when I got my head out of my butt and I matured up and realized what I needed to do.
Right. So by doing that, and I mean, you and I, and I won't discuss finances on air or anything like that, but we had that discussion where you gave me the finances, and it's impressive at this point what you're able to do just from getting that experience and doing what you did. And if other people can learn from that and do that, it's theirs for the taking.
It's really just a matter of putting your head down and grinding and having that outlook of just knowing that something's got to give. And eventually something will, because you're talented and you keep working at it. You keep doing what you're supposed to do, which is your mouth shut, your ears open, follow the rules, be a team player, drive, sacrifice, do what you have to do. Eventually it'll come around full circle, and eventually the right people will see it, and they'll see your hard work, and they'll see that you're a team player, and then you'll get that opportunity. It's just a matter of you are that person, and it just takes a little bit longer, but it's oh so sweet because you did it the right way as compared to a lot of these kids who are a flash in the pan because they do everything in their power to step over everybody, stab people in the back, and do what they have to do to get the opportunity. They get the quick glory, and then once they get exposed and they find that little kink in the armor, then it's over for them, and it's just they fizzle out really quickly, and it's over.
A day in the life of Western New York wrestling. Mark, I appreciate it. Do me a favor. When's your next house call video coming up?
Well, I just got a new phone, so the program that I was using went from free to yearly subscription. So I am going to put my next one out either tomorrow or probably next week, to be completely honest with you. Usually It's every Thursday.
It's usually every Thursday, and people can catch that on your Facebook page, right?
Yep. It's facebook.com/the Marc Hauss, and it's MarcHauss. Every week, there's something every day. So on Monday, you can come in and check out to see the flyers for the current week of where I'm going to be that weekend. Tuesday, I touch you my promos, and I let you know my thoughts on the weekend. Wednesday's the matches I currently had that past weekend. Thursday is the house call if you want to watch that. It's been growing in popularity and people are enjoying it. And then Friday, I get to tell you about the good old sponsors that take care of me. And then the weekend, you can follow me around, tweet me, Instagram me, Facebook me, message me, and I'll talk to you immediately.
And it's all at the Marc Hauss pretty much everywhere, right?
Everything's the same right across the board.
Very easy to get a hold of. All right, Marc Hauss, I appreciate you stepping in on such short notice. The trainer at the Kayfabe Dojo. Is it still called the Kayfabe Dojo? I guess I should have asked that.
It's UPW's Kayfabe Dojo.
Okay, so the trainer of UPW's Kayfabe Dojo and this guy, Marc. As always, thank you, my man.
Thank you.
Marc Hauss. Good friend of mine, always been a good friend of mine since we met, and it's always great to chat with him, whether or not we're talking about wrestling or we're talking about whatever, making fun of people, whatever, doesn't matter. It's always great to hear from him, see what he's doing, see what he's up to, and definitely give the man a follow. He is Gear Network endorsed and Gear Network approved. He's JC Money endorsed. I BS you not, y'all. Do me a favor and just follow him. And if you want to go ahead and give it a try, after every KDW show, after every Kayfabe Dojo show they do in Pineapple Jacks or whatever, the day after they usually do like a free tryout. If you're even thinking about it, you're afraid to pull that trigger, look out for the next free tryout and just give Marc a try. I can't put him over enough. He is a hell of a trainer, and this is coming from a guy that that first started training 16 years ago. And you never can stop learning, and if you have an open mind, man, the world will come to you. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this bad boy home this week. Thank you very much for tuning in to Talking Wrestling here on the Gear Radio Network for episode 33 in this season. We're going to come back again next week. We want to talk about the IWF show coming up. It is local, and I know that I said I was going to do every 2 weeks, but damn it, this is my podcast, and I will do it as I see fit. If I want to make it a daily podcast, I will. Weekly, bi-weekly, doesn't matter. I'll probably go back to the bi-weekly format after next week, but I promised the person that I was supposed to interview today that we would get them on and we would get it out there before the IWF show happens. No, I'm not going to drop the name. You'll find out when the next podcast is dropped. As for this podcast, thank you very much. Again, shop our Amazon page. That is Gear Network, GEREnetwork.com/Amazon. Click on the banner and bookmark the damn link to your computer, and then you will be able to help us out every single time that you shop. This is a copyrighted podcast of Gear Radio Networks, and any rebroadcast or reproduction without the express written permission of the Gear Radio Networks is strictly prohibited. And thank you again to Marc Hauss for joining me on short notice. Thanks to all the sources for providing me the wrestling info, the Wrestling 411 that I gave to you. And thank you to Dawn Samino, the executive producer of this podcast and my co-host on Get Ready America, which will return whenever the damn hell we want it to. But until then, we're taking it home, and we will see you next time. Good night now.
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.